Hello everyone, I hope you guys are having a good Monday. It's August 17th, and so today we're going to be talking about the tropics. The tropics are finally starting to get active. Yes, please subscribe if you can, and please consider leaving a like. I would really appreciate it. But yeah, let's get started with the video. So we're going to be talking about the Atlantic first. So right now we have two potential disturbances. We don't really have any tropical storms that are active right now. We just have two potential systems. Now, this one has a 70% chance in the next 5 days from the National Hurricane Center formation, and this front one is a 50% chance. So the one that's further or closer to Africa, further to the east, has a higher chance right now of formation. But I do think both of these are going to do something. And we're going to be talking about that in a second. This is their projected kind of path, and this is kind of where the National Hurricane Center is forecasting them to form in. Is their pretty much this little circular area they have. But yeah, and real quick, let's talk about what's going on in the Pacific. The Pacific is pretty active. We have Fausto, or however you say it. Fausto, I don't know. 30 miles per hour sustained winds right now. It's just a potential tropical cyclone. Not forecasted to do much. We have two potential disturbances. Each of these, or this one has a 10% chance. And then this one back here by our hurricane, Genevieve right now, or Genevieve. We have another one that has a 20% chance. Now, Genevieve is the big deal. I think it's Genevieve. It's Genevieve, sorry about that. 5 mile per hour wind, so it's barely a hurricane. It's a category 1. Minimum central pressure of 992 millibars. Now, the National Hurricane Center's projected path has it being a major hurricane by tomorrow morning. So we'll have to see if that happens in tomorrow's video. But it has it being a major hurricane all the way through Wednesday night. And so that's going to be interesting. It has it going pretty close to Mexico. Just going to need to watch that. Now, wind speed probabilities. Areas of Mexico already have a 30 to 40% chance of tropical storm force wind speeds, but that's about it. Only 30 to 40% chance right now. But yeah, now let's look at the Atlantic. So we have those two systems in the Atlantic, as you guys can see right there. Those two. So we can see both of those. This is the GFS model. We're going to be looking at two models today. We can see one of our systems is right here. Yeah, that's right. And our other one is right there. We can kind of see we have a little low pressure system in that area. It's not really formed in anything though. It would be right there in the little kink in the pressure lines. Now let's go to later this afternoon. So by tomorrow afternoon, we can hardly see anything. That's our first low pressure system by tomorrow evening. Our one that has a higher percent chance of forming is back here, right there, and right there. So that's where they are located. And they don't really do much until we get closer to about Wednesday afternoon. That's when the GFS model has the one closer, or the one further to the east. I would say it's the second one. The first one's up here. First one is right there. The second one's right here. That's when the GFS model has it hitting tropical storm forces Wednesday evening. And then by Thursday morning, it's still there. Our other low pressure system is right there. I'll circle that for you guys. It's right there in that area. So it's not the GFS model is not showing it actually strengthening until it gets into this area, and that's when it's going to get interesting. As we go later, let's skip ahead till Friday afternoon. You can see our low pressure system with our first disturbance is right there. It's starting to get closed off. It's starting to look like it's strengthening. And then our second one is getting closer to the islands. It's 1,004 millibars, so it's still a tropical storm. Not a hurricane yet. What did I just do? Alright, there we go. So yeah, now let's go to Friday afternoon. There we go, let's go to Saturday afternoon. So Saturday afternoon, that is when the GFS model has our first disturbance, actually forming into a tropical storm. It still has our one in the back. the second one forming into a tropical storm, or it still has a remaining at tropical storm force strength. Now the GFS one has our first system going through the Gulf of Mexico and strengthening to potentially a Category 1 hurricane. It would be a weak one. But as of right now, the GFS one only has it being a very weak Category 1 hurricane or an upper end tropical storm, and then it has it hitting Louisiana. That's probably a mid-end to upper end tropical storm. So we're gonna have to see what that's gonna do. This is far out though. This is a week out. Around a week is when we're looking at potential impacts in the U.S. From that system. And then our second one kind of weakens as it has land interaction with areas like Cuba, according to the GFS model. And then this is a week and a half out now. It's too far out to really look at it. It has it being almost a mid-end to upper-end Category 1 hurricane hitting southern Texas like Brownsville. And so we're gonna have to see, because if that does happen, that's gonna be an interesting storm. But it's hard to say if it is gonna happen right now because it is a week and a half out. But let's look at the Canadian model and see if we have any, what it's thinking, if we have any consistency models. Now we can see on the Canadian model are two systems. Right now one's right there and one's right there. As we go later, it has the second system being a little bit slower to form into a tropical storm. It has it forming into a tropical storm by around Thursday afternoon. You can see it has our first one getting a little bit closed off earlier. Right there's our first one. Our second one's back here. Then we see, as we go later to Friday afternoon, this one, our second one, is getting stronger. It's at 1,004 millibars, and our first one's not closed off yet, but it's at 1,005 millibars. So it probably won't be a tropical storm by Friday afternoon. It probably won't be a tropical storm if the Canadian model is right by Friday afternoon, because it's not going to be organized enough to be considered tropical yet, and considered organized. Then by Saturday afternoon, it has our second disturbance looking a little bit more organized, I guess you could say, and stronger. It has it almost being a Category 1 hurricane. As it gets closer to Puerto Rico right there, which could be interesting. And then it has our first disturbance becoming a tropical storm likely on Saturday. So yeah. Then has our first system being weaker and barely making landfall. But it has our second one making landfall next week at around Wednesday and Thursday. And this is interesting. Okay, so our GFS models, I'm going to kind of do it in blue. I'm going to do our GFS in blue. The GFS model has our second system kind of doing that. Now the Canadian model is different though. It has it doing this. And so the models are inconsistent on both of these systems, so it's kind of hard to tell where they're going to make landfall, because this is a week and a half out. But we can see it has it making landfall in the southeast, as let's see how strong it could be around. So we can see it right there, really organized, 970 millibars, 10 meter winds. Let's see here. That will be around probably a Category 1, maybe even a Category 2 hurricane if that does happen. But this is far out, so don't get worried about that. But that I'm going to be having another video on this tomorrow, because I'm sure the models will change again as we get closer to tomorrow. Now, let's switch topics to severe weather. We're not going to be talking about severe weather a lot. Severe weather is calming down a little bit. But today we have a slight risk in an interesting spot. Yes, we have our slight risk in an interesting spot in eastern Oregon. Right there, SPC only has a 15% wind threat. Now we're going to be looking at the NAM-NEST model. So you can see this afternoon, it's not really showing much. It shows northeastern moving weak thunderstorms, which I guess it's enough for a slight risk. Let's look at some of the ingredients. Let's look at ML Cape. It's okay. We got almost 1,000. That's not bad for eastern Oregon though. UD Olustee swaths. We have some in northeastern Oregon. But yeah, that'll wrap up this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll be back tomorrow. But yes, peace out.